In today's Reddit story, Fiancée called me paranoid for suspecting her male best friend. So I set up a hidden camera. The footage? Disgusting. When I showed her, she scoffed and said, "Okay, so what? You think you're some kind of FBI agent?" I smiled and replied, "Nah, but your rent-free lifestyle just got canceled." Now she's homeless and crying to her mom. My name's Ethan, and up until recently I thought I was going to marry the love of my life. Samantha and I had been together for 4 years. She was smart, funny, and the kind of woman who could light up a room just by walking in. Or at least, that's what I used to think. Lately, things had been off. It started small. She'd stay out late more often, always with Trevor, her so-called best friend. I wasn't the jealous type, but something about their friendship had always rubbed me the wrong way. Whenever I brought it up, she'd laugh in my face. "Oh my God, Ethan, you sound so paranoid." "Trevor? Seriously? He's like a brother to me. I can't believe you'd even think that. Gross." She made me feel like an insecure, jealous idiot for even questioning it. I tried to shake it off. I mean, they'd been friends since college, right? Maybe I really was just overthinking it. But then, little things started adding up. Samantha suddenly had no time for me, but endless time for Trevor. She stopped being affectionate, but would light up whenever she got a text from him. Whenever I walked into a room while she was texting, she'd immediately lock her phone. And then came the final straw. One night, I asked her if she wanted to go out to dinner. Just the two of us. A real date night. She barely looked up from her phone. "Ugh, I can't, babe. Work's been brutal, I just need a night in." I nodded, trying not to feel disappointed. "All right, I'll pick up takeout." She smiled. "You're the best." Then, not even 30 minutes later, I got a text from my buddy Chris. "Yo, you at Birchwood? Thought I just saw Samantha here." Birchwood, a trendy rooftop bar, a place Samantha loved, but only ever went to with Trevor. I stared at my phone, my stomach twisting. I could have texted her. I could have called. Instead, I did something I'd never done before. I opened the security camera app on my phone and checked our apartment's front door footage. She wasn't home. The couch where she claimed to be resting? Empty. I felt a cold wave of clarity. She'd lied straight to my face. That night, as I sat alone at the dinner table, pushing my food around my plate, I realized something. She was never going to admit it. She would gaslight me forever if I let her. So I stopped asking, stopped arguing, and started planning. From that night on, I stopped asking Samantha about Trevor. I stopped arguing, stopped acting suspicious, stopped doing anything that would tip her off. Instead, I let her dig her own grave. I started paying attention. Really paying attention. When she claimed to be working late, I took mental notes of the times. When she got home, I checked the security footage to see if she even left for work at all. When she said, "Ugh, I'm exhausted," I checked her location history. And over the next 2 weeks, a pattern emerged. Samantha wasn't staying late at work. She wasn't running errands. She was always at Trevor's apartment. And that's when I decided to take things a step further. I bought a small, motion-activated hidden camera online. Nothing crazy, just something subtle enough to blend into the background of our apartment. One night, while Samantha was in the shower, I set it up, facing the couch. I had a feeling Trevor had been getting a little too comfortable in my home, and I was right. 2 nights later, I checked the camera. I expected to see something bad, maybe some flirty cuddling, maybe a little too much touching. What I saw made my blood boil. Trevor wasn't just visiting. He was making himself at home. Samantha had let him into my apartment while I was at work. They weren't just hanging out. They were sprawled on my couch, drinking my beer, laughing like they owned the place. Then, the worst part. She got up, stretched, then straddled him, like it was nothing, like I didn't exist. And Trevor? He grabbed her waist and said, "He really has no clue, huh?" I closed my laptop very slowly and smiled. Because what they didn't know, I was about to make them regret every second of it. I sat there for a long time, staring at my laptop screen, my mind completely blank. Then, very calmly, I closed the window, deleted the footage from my camera app, and uploaded it to a private folder. Because if I was going to do this, I was going to do it right. See, most guys would have blown up right then and there. Screamed, confronted her, maybe even thrown Trevor out of the apartment. But that's not how you win. Samantha had been comfortable for way too long. She had everything handed to her. A rent-free life, my credit card for small things, and the safety net of knowing I'd always be there. She thought she was untouchable. So I decided to strip that away. Samantha had access to one of my credit cards. Nothing huge, but enough for gas, food, and whatever little emergencies she always claimed to have. That night, while she was in bed texting Trevor, I logged into my bank app and removed her as an authorized user. No warning, no explanation, just gone. Samantha wasn't on the lease, never had been. She moved in with me after her old roommate bailed, and I took care of everything. So the next morning I called my landlord. Hey, just a heads up, I'd like to update my lease and remove guest permissions. Landlord, no problem, just you in the unit now? Yep, just me. By the time I hung up, Samantha was officially a squatter. She just didn't know it yet. And the best part, I still didn't say a word. I let her think everything was normal. Let her think she was winning. Because the final step was going to be brutal. By this point, Samantha had no idea her life was slowly falling apart. She was still living in my apartment rent-free, still texting Trevor behind my back, still acting like I was some clueless idiot. So I decided to make her a deal she couldn't resist. One night, while we were eating dinner, I casually brought it up. You've been stressed lately. Let's take a vacation. Just the two of us. Her eyes lit up. Really? Yeah, I'll book everything. Luxury suite, spa, all-inclusive. Just us. She smiled, way too excited. But here's what she didn't know. I wasn't booking anything. I was about to pull the rug out from under her so hard, she wouldn't even see it coming. Over the next few days, I let her plan. She told her friends, told her coworkers, told Trevor. I knew because I checked her messages. She texted him, "Babe, don't freak out, but Ethan wants to take me on some fancy trip. Should I go? Lol. Trevor. LMAO, free vacation? Duh, let him spend his money." They were mocking me. And that was the last mistake they'd ever make. 2 days before the trip, I pretended to leave for work. Samantha kissed me goodbye like everything was normal. The second I was out the door, I went full execution mode. Hired a cleaning service, paid them extra to box up every single thing she owned. Changed the locks, no warning, no copies. She was officially locked out. Texted my landlord, confirmed that as of today, Samantha was no longer welcome on the property. And then, I turned off my phone. I let her walk straight into her own nightmare. That evening, I went out with some friends. Just as I was finishing my drink, I turned my phone back on. And boom, 46 missed calls, over 100 texts. I grinned. Then I checked my security camera feed. Samantha was standing outside the apartment building, losing her mind, pounding on the door, screaming into her phone. Then she saw the boxes. The cleaning service had neatly stacked all her belongings right on the curb, and taped to the front of the top box, a printed still from my hidden camera footage, her, on Trevor's lap, underneath, in bold letters, "Rent-free lifestyle, canceled." She crumpled to the ground, sobbing. And I finished my drink and watched her world burn. Samantha's perfect little world wasn't just crumbling, it was being broadcast in high definition. After her public meltdown outside my apartment, she had no idea what was coming next. See, I wasn't just kicking her out. I was making sure she had nowhere left to go. Samantha had a tight-knit friend group, girls she gossiped with, ranted to, and probably complained about me to behind my back. So I did what any rational man would do. I sent them everything. Screenshots of her messages with Trevor, bank records proving I had been paying for everything, footage from my hidden camera, just enough to show the cozy little moments between her and Trevor. Then I sat back and watched the fireworks. My phone exploded. First from her best friend Claire. "What the actual F? We defended her. We called you paranoid." Then from her cousin. "Dude, I had no idea. She told us you were some controlling psycho." Then from Trevor. "Bro, what the hell, you didn't have to do all that." I laughed. "Nah, but it was fun." Then I blocked his number. Turns out, Samantha's friends were ride or die. The second they saw the proof, they dropped her like a bad investment. Claire kicked her from the group chat. Her cousin told their whole family. Her old roommates blocked her. And Trevor? Oh, he folded instantly. He texted her, "Yo, I think we should chill for a while. This is too much drama." She replied, "Are you freaking kidding me?" But he left her on read. Samantha had lost everything. Her home, her friends, her little side piece. And for the first time, she finally realized what it felt like to be disposable. Samantha had officially lost everything. Her friends? Gone. Her home? Gone. Her side piece? Ghosted her. And now, she had one last move, try to manipulate me. 2 nights after her meltdown, I was at home enjoying a beer when my phone buzzed. Samantha. I let it ring. Then a text popped up. Can we talk, please? I smirked. Here we go. I waited an hour. Then just for fun, I texted back, sure, come by. When I opened the door, Samantha was standing there in a hoodie and leggings, eyes red and puffy. She stepped forward like she was going to hug me. I didn't move. She hesitated, then sighed. Ethan, I messed up. I raised an eyebrow. Which part? The cheating? The lying? The freeloading? She flinched. I don't know why I did it. I was just bored, thought I was too dumb to figure it out. She swallowed hard. I still love you. I laughed in her face. You love me? You let another man sit on my couch, drink my beer, and call me clueless. Her eyes darted away. I can make it up to you. I grinned. Oh, I know you can. Her face lit up. Really? Yep. By walking away and never talking to me again. Her jaw dropped. You're really going to throw everything away? I took a step forward, lowered my voice. Nah, but your rent-free lifestyle just got canceled. She stared at me, completely speechless. Then, she turned and ran. Samantha ran out of my apartment that night, but she wasn't done suffering, not even close. Because while she was out there homeless and humiliated, she still had one last safety net. Her mom. Samantha had always been her mom's golden child, the one who could do no wrong. The one who, no matter how badly she screwed up, always got bailed out. So of course she ran straight to her. And, like clockwork, her mom called me the next morning. Ethan, sweetheart, I heard about the breakup. I just think maybe you're being a little harsh. I almost laughed. Harsh? She's devastated. She has nowhere to go. She told me she made a mistake, but don't you think you could? I cut her off. Ma'am, with all due respect, did she also tell you she was cheating on me in my own apartment? Silence. She said it wasn't like that. Oh, but it was, and just for fun I texted her the proof. The security cam screenshot, the text messages with Trevor, the bank records proving I was funding her whole life. Her mom went quiet. Then, Samantha's mom. Ethan, I'm so sorry. Yeah, me too. And just like that, Samantha lost her final safety net. That night, Samantha texted me one last time. Wow, even my own mother won't take me in. Hope you're happy. I smiled. I am. Enjoy your new life. Then I blocked her. Samantha had officially burned every bridge. She wasn't just homeless, she was truly alone. A few months passed. Samantha completely vanished. No Instagram stories, no girls' nights posts, no cryptic tweets about fake people. Her life, which had once revolved around attention and validation, was now radio silent. But then, one random evening, my phone buzzed. A single text. Can we talk? I stared at it for a few seconds. Then, for the first time since this whole mess started, I actually laughed, because I already knew what had happened. Trevor never took her in. Her best friends cut her off. Her mom, done with her. She had nowhere left to run. And now, months later, she thought I'd be stupid enough to let her back in. I didn't even bother replying. I just blocked her number. Then I tossed my phone on the couch, cracked open a beer, and went back to enjoying my life. Because for the first time in years, I was finally free. I overheard my girlfriend tell her friend, he's too boring. I missed the mystery and spice from my last relationship. My ex was exciting, so I disappeared, blocked her on everything, changed gyms, moved apartments. 3 weeks later, she furiously texted me from a new number. You ruined my life. I just replied. I might have gone too far, but I don't regret it. If anyone is too soft and gets easily offended, they can stop reading. Sometimes you find out who people really are when they think you can't hear them. That's exactly what happened with my girlfriend Sarah, 27, and it changed everything. I'm Mike, 30, software engineer. Met Sarah 8 months ago when I was in her city for a work project. We hit it off, started dating long distance, then my company offered to transfer me permanently. Sarah suggested I move in with her since her roommate was leaving anyway. Big house, split the rent 50-50, seemed perfect. I wasn't on the lease, just paying half the bills. That detail became important later. First few months were great. Sarah seemed happy to have me there, always talking about how mature and stable I was compared to her ex. She'd tell me horror stories about this guy, how he was toxic, controlling, even hit her once. Called her names during fights. Said she was grateful to finally be with someone who treated her right. I believed every word. About 2 months ago, things started feeling off. Sarah became weird about her phone. She'd change topics mid-conversation when I walked into the room. Started taking calls in the bedroom with the door closed. When I asked about it, she'd brush it off as work stuff or friend drama. The secretive behavior got worse. She'd get texts and immediately flip her phone face down. Stepped outside to take calls. Started going out more often without inviting me. Last week, I decided to find out what was going on. Sarah always took her long phone calls on the living room couch, usually Sunday evenings when she thought I was gaming upstairs. So I planted a small recording device in the couch cushions. Not proud of it, but I needed to know. Sunday night, right on schedule, she settled in for one of her calls. I stayed upstairs but listened through earbuds connected to the receiver. What I heard destroyed any respect I had left for her. "I don't know what's wrong with me," she was telling her friend. "Mike is everything I said I wanted. He's stable, treats me well, never yells or causes drama. But I'm so bored. Like suffocatingly bored. There's no excitement, no mystery. Everything is so predictable." "What do you mean?" "Remember how crazy things were with Derek? Yeah, he was toxic and we fought constantly, but God, the passion was incredible. The make-up sex, the intensity, never knowing what would happen next." My stomach dropped. Derek was the ex she'd painted as an abuser. "I thought you hated all that drama," her friend said. "I thought I did too. But I miss it. I miss feeling alive in a relationship." "So what are you gonna do?" "I've been texting Derek again." The words hit like a punch. She was cheating, after everything she'd said about wanting stability. "Sarah, that's dangerous territory." "I know. I'm trying to meet up with him, but you know the problem, right? I don't want to risk it." "Right, because of his wife's position." "Exactly. If she finds out, I'm screwed." I didn't understand what she meant by that, but I'd heard enough. Sarah was bored with me, missed her toxic ex, and was actively trying to cheat. The woman who'd cried about being called names was now complaining that I didn't call her names. I turned off the receiver and went to bed. Said nothing to Sarah. The next morning while she was at work, I started planning. She wanted mystery and excitement. She was about to get more than she bargained for. First, I researched Derek. Found him on social media easily enough. Married to someone named Lisa for 3 years. No kids. Worked in sales. Liked to post about his gym routine and weekend activities. Then I did something that took me an hour to set up, but would mess with Sarah's head for weeks. I bought removable wall letter decorations, the kind used for kids' rooms or temporary decorating. Spelled out, "Welcome home, bitch," in big gold letters across the living room wall where she'd see it the moment she walked in. Was calling her that word wrong? Probably, but it's exactly what her ex used to call her, and apparently she missed that treatment. I set it up Monday morning, packed everything I owned into my car, and left. Didn't take anything that wasn't mine, didn't damage anything permanent. Just left her a taste of the unpredictability she craved. Then I disappeared completely. Blocked her on everything. Phone, social media, email. Changed gyms since we went to the same one. Found a new apartment across town and moved in that day. Told my work I'd had a family emergency and needed to work remote for a few weeks. By Monday evening, my phone was buzzing with calls from unknown numbers. Sarah trying to reach me from different phones, probably panicking about the message on her wall, and me vanishing without explanation. I ignored every single attempt. But I wasn't done. Sarah wanted to text her married ex. His wife deserved to know. I found Lisa on Facebook through Derek's. Her profile showed she worked at the same company as Sarah. What a coincidence. I sent her a message. "Hi. I don't know you, but I thought you should check your husband Derek's phone. He's been texting my ex-girlfriend Sarah. They're planning to meet up. I figured you'd want to know." I included Sarah's full name along with the company name. 2 days later, Lisa messaged me. "Found the texts. You were right. Also wanted to let you know, Sarah works directly under me in HR. Small world. I appreciate the heads up about everything." That's when it clicked. The risk Sarah had mentioned on the phone wasn't just about Derek being married. His wife Lisa was Sarah's boss in HR. If Lisa found out about the affair, Sarah's job was in jeopardy. And now Lisa knew everything. I replied, "Sorry you had to find out this way. Do whatever you think is right." The next week was quiet. No more calls or texts from unknown numbers. I figured Sarah had gotten the message and moved on. Then last Friday, I got a text from yet another unknown number. "Are you alive?" I know exactly who it is, but I replied, "Who's this?" "It's Sarah. We need to talk." "About what?" "Everything. My job, my apartment, what you did to my wall." "Don't know what you're talking about. Please. I'm sorry about what I said to Jessica. I know you heard me somehow." Interesting. She'd figured out I knew about the phone call but didn't know how. "Still don't know what you mean. I got fired. Derek won't talk to me anymore because Lisa confronted him. I can't afford the rent without your half. The landlord is threatening eviction." Sounds rough. I know I messed up. I was wrong about everything. Can we please just talk? Already am talking. To who though? Stop playing games. Not playing games. You wanted excitement and mystery. Sounds like you got both. I blocked that number too. Update. 1 week later. Got a few comments asking for an update, so here it is. Sarah's situation got worse. Heard through mutual friends that she had to move out of the house and is staying with her parents. Apparently, Derek blocked her on everything after Lisa threatened to tell his entire family about the affair. His marriage is rocky, but they're trying to work it out. Some people in the comments said I was too harsh, that the wall decoration was cruel. Maybe it was. But I gave her exactly what she said she wanted: unpredictability and treatment like her ex gave her. She missed being called names and having drama in her relationship. I provided both. A few people asked if I feel bad about her losing her job. Honestly, no. Sarah made the choice to pursue a married man who worked in her company. She knew the risks. She literally said so on the phone. I just made sure the right person found out about it. Someone asked if I'd take her back if she really apologized. The answer is no. The phone call revealed who Sarah actually is: someone who gets bored with kindness and craves toxic treatment. That's not a partner. That's someone who needs therapy. Final update. 1 month later, this is the last update since things have settled down, and I'm moving on completely. Sarah tried reaching out one more time through a mutual friend. Apparently, she's been telling people I ruined her life and that I'm psychotic for disappearing without explanation. She's painted herself as the victim in this whole situation. The mutual friend asked for my side of the story. I kept it simple. Sarah was bored with our relationship and started texting her married ex behind my back. I found out and decided I didn't want to be with someone like that. I didn't mention the recording, the wall decoration, or contacting Lisa. Just the basic facts. The friend said Sarah denied cheating, claimed she was just talking to Derek as friends. Classic cheater response. But the friend also mentioned that Sarah's story kept changing. First she said I left for no reason, then she said we had a fight, then she admitted to innocent texting with an ex. People who constantly change their story usually aren't telling the truth. For those asking about legal issues with the recording, yes, it was illegal. No, I'm not worried about it. No one knows about it, and even if somehow Sarah finds out, she would have to admit she was planning to cheat with a married man to use it against me, and she's not going to do that. The wall decoration was just removable stickers. No property damage, no permanent harm. Just a message that she could clean up in minutes. Sometimes when people tell you what they want, you should give it to them. All of it. Sarah learned that the boring, predictable guy she was planning to cheat on could be just as unpredictable as her toxic ex. The difference is I disappeared instead of sticking around to make her life miserable. She's free now to find all the toxic excitement she was craving. And I'm free to be with someone who values stability over chaos. Everyone got what they wanted in the end. My fiancé didn't know I was standing behind her when she told her bridesmaids, if he loses his job, I'll just delay the wedding. No way I'm signing up for struggle. They laughed. I put down the champagne glass and walked away. Today, she found her dress hanging alone in an empty closet, and my phone's blown up with 53 missed calls. When Natalie and I got engaged, I really thought I'd nailed it in life. We'd been together just under 3 years, met at a coworker's game night, of all things. She didn't even want to be there. I only went because I promised I'd bring beer. But something about her sarcasm that night just clicked. The way she rolled her eyes at the Cards Against Humanity cards, called them Reddit in physical form. I was hooked. She worked in HR at a major insurance firm. Organized, driven, polished. I was a software engineer at a mid-sized startup, laid back, beard, hoodies, the usual. We balanced each other well. She introduced me to the world of adult furniture and exfoliants. I introduced her to Smash Bros. And made her watch Die Hard for the first time. We had chemistry. The proposal was quiet, no photographers hiding in bushes or flash mobs. Just us, a cabin in Vermont, and a ring she helped me pick out months earlier during a just browsing trip. She cried anyway, so did I. It felt right. What didn't feel right, though, was everything that came after. It started with the venue. She wanted this renovated barn outside of town, huge ceilings, fairy lights, farm-to-table everything. I joked about how trendy it was. She didn't laugh. She said, "We're not doing anything halfway." At the time, I chalked it up to nerves. Wedding planning's stressful, right? Then it was the dress. Not just a dress. The dress, $4,700 before alterations. When I hesitated, she said, "It's one day of my life, Josh. My only wedding." I nodded, like a supportive fiancé should. Sold some shares I'd been holding to cover it. Didn't love it, but whatever. She lit up when she wore it. That had to count for something. But the thing that really stuck with me, the first red flag I didn't know was a red flag, was when we were budgeting the honeymoon. I mentioned Bali. She wanted Greece. I said it might be tight with everything else. She blinked at me and said, "Josh, we're not poor." She laughed when she said it, but it didn't feel like a joke. By month 3 of planning, it felt like I'd become the project manager of a corporation called Our Wedding Inc. Natalie was the CEO, CFO, and Chief Creative Officer. I was operations, finance maybe. She delegated, I executed. I started noticing she referred to everything as hers. Her wedding, her big day. The word "we" vanished. I know it sounds petty, but it wears on you. Every decision felt like a test. Flowers? I already picked them out. Cake? Don't worry, I handled it. My input was mostly for show. Our shared Google Sheet ballooned to 15 tabs. One night, I noticed she had a running list of guests ranked by Instagrammability. When I asked what that meant, she said, "You know who photographs well for the feed." I thought she was joking. She wasn't. Things shifted around the same time I got passed over for a promotion at work. Wasn't a big deal. Startups are chaotic, and I knew my time was coming. I told her over dinner. She paused mid-bite and said, "But you're still up for bonus, right?" That was it. No, "Are you okay?" No, "Want to talk about it?" Just concern about the cash flow. That one hurt more than I expected. Then came the registry. She wanted Dyson everything. $300 sheets, $600 air fryer. I gently suggested scaling back a bit. Some of our friends weren't exactly rolling in disposable income. She didn't like that. "It's not our fault if people can't afford to celebrate with us," she said, not looking up from her iPad. I just stared at her, wondering where the woman I proposed to went. We weren't fighting exactly, but there was this shift. I felt like a human debit card. The girl who once texted me memes at midnight and made fun of my tech bro beard now treated me like I was lucky to be marrying her. And maybe I was. Natalie was beautiful, ambitious, organized. Her Instagram was curated down to the grid. Her friends called her a main character, and she'd smile like it was a compliment. She kept reminding me how lucky she was to have someone so steady. But there was this way she said it sometimes, like I was a Honda Civic. Reliable, functional, not sexy, just stable. One night, I overheard her on the phone with her sister while brushing her teeth in the bathroom. I was lying in bed, half asleep. She said, "No, I'm not worried about him losing his job, but if he did, honestly, I'd probably delay the wedding. I mean, no way I'm signing up for struggle." Her voice was flat, casual, like she was talking about a hair appointment. Her sister laughed. So did she. I pretended to be asleep when she came to bed. She curled up next to me and kissed my shoulder, and I just lay there, eyes open, thinking about what she'd do if she knew I didn't have that job at all. I didn't say anything the next morning. Natalie was in full bride mode, scrolling through table settings and sending passive-aggressive emails to the florist who wasn't understanding the vision. I made coffee like always, kissed her on the temple, and sat across from her at the kitchen island like nothing happened. She didn't notice anything was off. That kind of said it all. And I guess that's when I made the decision. Not out loud, not even to myself. But something clicked, a mental switch flipped, not rage, not sadness, just clarity. I was done trying to prove I was worth marrying. That night, we had a mini engagement party. Just close friends, some of her bridesmaids, and a few of my coworkers. I wasn't really in the mood to entertain, but I played the part. Smiled for photos, clinked glasses, laughed at the right moments. The house looked perfect. Natalie had coordinated everything, down to the cocktail napkins that said, "Love is patient, but the wedding is in June." I remember thinking that was ironic, because patience was exactly what I was about to start weaponizing. It happened about an hour in. I was in the hallway grabbing another bottle of champagne from the bar cart when I heard voices behind the partially closed guest bedroom door. Natalie's voice, unmistakable, low, amused, a little tipsy. "She thinks we're in the bathroom." One of the bridesmaids whispered, "Probably Jenna. Come on, spill." Then Natalie, laughing, soft but crystal clear. "I mean, let's be real. If Josh ever loses that job of his, we're delaying this wedding. No way I'm signing up for struggle." The girls giggled. "I'm not being mean," she added. I've worked too hard to settle. You know, I'm not doing the whole support him while he figures it out thing. That's for college relationships. This is grown-up time." They laughed again. Someone said, "Preach." And me? I stood there with the champagne bottle still in my hand, frozen. I didn't walk in. I didn't make a scene. I didn't say a word. I just turned around, went to the kitchen, and poured myself a glass. That line, "I'm not doing struggle," it kept replaying in my head. We'd been through a pandemic together, moved apartments, saved, budgeted. I helped pay down her student loans when she got laid off for 3 months, and I never once made her feel like it was a burden. But me? I was a financial contingency, a plan B with a decent Roth IRA. After the last guest left and she passed out on the couch, I sat on the balcony and just stared out at nothing. I wasn't sad. Not really. Just tired. Like my body had been waiting for that confirmation and finally got it. So I opened my laptop and started making notes. Not revenge, just logistics. I made a list of every vendor contract under my name. Which ones had cancellation clauses, which ones required 30-day notice, which deposits were refundable. I cross-checked them against our wedding spreadsheet. She'd given me edit access, thinking I wouldn't touch it. Then I logged into our joint bank account and opened a new one under just my name. Nothing shady. Just a personal checking account at a different bank. Moved over a portion of my savings, enough to cover expenses if I needed to walk out quickly. I also emailed our apartment complex. The lease was up in 5 months. I asked what it would take to remove myself if needed. Then I closed the laptop and went to bed. Over the next few weeks, I played along. Natalie didn't suspect anything. She was too deep in centerpiece comparisons and bridesmaid dress drama. She started making TikToks about the real stress of planning a wedding with a minimalist fiancé. I smiled for videos I didn't want to be in. She started referring to herself as Natalie Caldwell, my last name as if it was already official. But her eyes only lit up when talking about the videographer or the venue's photo lighting. I told her my job was getting more stressful. She didn't ask questions. She only said, "As long as you're still up for the honeymoon, babe." One afternoon, I came home early from work. She was out with her mom. I went into the office and made copies, rental agreements, car titles, savings account statements, anything with my name on it. I backed up all our texts and emails onto a drive, just in case. Then I opened a second document, titled it, "Exit Plan." No one ever thinks they'll need one, but once you hear your future wife say, "I'm not signing up for struggle," while giggling with her friends like you're a stock portfolio, the urge to protect yourself gets real clear, real fast. The weirdest part? I started feeling lighter. Like the moment I stopped chasing her approval, I got my balance back. I started going to the gym again, picked up an old hobby, 3D printing stuff for friends. Started making side money on Etsy. It was small, but mine. Meanwhile, she kept escalating. Upgraded our wedding package just a little. Asked me to cash in my bonus early to make the honeymoon unforgettable. Told her dad I might be getting promoted soon. I hadn't told her that. She just assumed it was happening. Or maybe she was selling the fantasy. It was Jenna who confirmed everything. The same bridesmaid who laughed at that comment. She caught me in the kitchen one night during a double date and said, "You're too good for her, you know that, right?" I must have looked confused because she added, "I mean it, just make sure you protect yourself." And then she walked away. That was all she said. But it was enough. After that conversation with Jenna, things sped up in my head. I'd already started quietly removing myself from the wedding. But now, it was like I was planning a controlled demolition. One brick at a time, making sure when it all came down, I wasn't underneath it. Natalie, meanwhile, had shifted into full production mode. Every day there was something new she just had to upgrade. Linens, catering add-ons, signature cocktails with a custom logo. I'm not joking, she wanted a logo. For our initials. I said, "Is this a wedding or a corporate merger?" She didn't laugh. We had a wedding website. She made it through some service that lets you track RSVPs, link your registry, the whole thing. It looked like a Squarespace ad. I went in one night when she was asleep and updated the admin email to an account only I could access. I also noticed she'd removed a few of my friends from the invite list, quietly, without telling me. When I asked, she said, "Babe, we have to make room for my mom's tennis girls." I said, "They've never met us." She said, "They don't need to. They're classy. They'll make the photos better." Photos again, it was always about the image that week. I went down the checklist. Venue, refundable if canceled 30+ days out. Photographer, deposit held, but contract in my name. Florist, catering, cake, all under my credit card, thank God. Dress, hers, non-refundable. Not my problem. I contacted each vendor one by one, said there was a family emergency, asked what my options were for postponement or cancellation. Most of them were incredibly understanding, probably smelled something in the air. I had everything documented. PDFs, confirmation emails, timestamped screenshots, organized by date in a cloud folder. One friend of mine, he's a paralegal, looked it over for me. Clean, he said. Cold, but clean. Around that time, Natalie's behavior started shifting again, but in a different way. She was too affectionate, too over the top, like she was reading from a script labeled "How to Keep a Man Invested." She'd come home with little gifts, suggest romantic weekends, brag to her friends on speakerphone about how thoughtful I was. It didn't feel real. It felt like PR. One night I walked into the bedroom and saw her on her phone. She didn't see me at first. She was texting someone named Derek. The screen said, "Can't wait to finally catch up. You always knew how to spoil a girl." I didn't react, didn't say a word, just backed out quietly and went to the kitchen. Later that night, she said she was going to bed early, claimed she was tired. I nodded, told her I'd be up late working. I wasn't working. I was screen recording our entire shared photo album and backing it up, just in case she tried to wipe things later and spin a different version of events. About a week later, one of her other bridesmaids, Tina, I think, messaged me on Instagram. "Hey, are you okay? You don't seem like yourself lately." I just replied, "Hanging in there. Wedding planning's a lot." She said, "I don't want to overstep, but I think you should talk to Jenna." I already had, but that message confirmed it. Whatever Natalie had said behind my back, it was worse than I'd thought. Enough that two of her own bridesmaids were quietly waving red flags in my direction. At work, I started prepping too. I cleared out personal files from my laptop, told my manager I might be taking a week off soon for mental health. He didn't ask questions. Cool guy, married, probably saw through it. I also rented a short-term place across town, fully furnished, small, quiet, month-to-month lease, move-in date set for 1 week before the wedding. Security deposit paid, key card ready. She had no idea. Then she slipped up. She came home, buzzed from a night out with her girls. Jenna was noticeably absent, and flopped down on the couch next to me. "You know," she said, slurring slightly, "I don't care what people say, you're good stability." "Thanks," I said. She nodded, eyes half shut. "Like, you're not exciting, but you're safe. That's good. People build around safe." Then she passed out. I sat there for a long time, just looking at her. The dress she'd been raving about was hanging in the closet, still in its sealed garment bag. She hadn't even tried it on since the fitting. She said it was bad luck. I was starting to think it was just guilt. The next day, I called the venue. I gave the official word, cancel the booking, keep the deposit. Just don't allow any changes to it unless I approve. The woman on the other end paused. "Do you want me to tell her?" she asked gently. "No," I said. "She'll figure it out." I left at 5:37 a.m. on a Thursday. Natalie had a final dress fitting that morning at 10, and I knew she'd be out of the house by 9. I didn't need that kind of exit. I didn't need her dramatic questions or the crocodile tears or the "I don't understand" routine. I just needed clean air. The night before, I packed what mattered: laptop, clothes, hard drive with backups, and the few items that were actually mine. Left everything else behind. Let her keep the air fryer and the espresso machine. Let her keep the towels she picked out that I never liked anyway. The only thing I left on the bed was the ring box. Closed. Untouched. I placed it carefully on the pillow she always slept on. Next to it, I left my house key in the gate fob. That was it. No note, no explanation. Nothing to argue with. The wedding dress was still hanging in the corner closet, zipped up in its custom bag, untouched since the fitting. Let it watch her now. By 8:15, I was checked into the short-term apartment I'd leased across town. I turned my phone to Do Not Disturb. Poured coffee. Sat in silence. I'd already set my phone to forward key calls, just in case the vendors needed final confirmations. I wasn't planning to ghost the world, just her. By 10, I had 3 missed calls. By 10:15, it jumped to 12. By 10:20, her mom was calling. At 10:30, I texted one person, "Jenna, all done, you were right." She didn't reply, not yet. By 11, the call log was up 27. Natalie, her mom, her bridesmaid Tina, a blocked number. She hadn't processed it yet, was still in the confusion stage. Still thinking maybe this was a misunderstanding, she was about to hit panic. At 11:40, I got a voicemail from Natalie. First one of the day. "Josh, hey, can you please call me? I don't know what's going on, but I'm freaking out. Please. This isn't funny. If this is about the DJ thing, I'll change it. Just call me." The DJ thing? Jesus. She still thought this was fixable. By 1 p.m., Jenna texted back. She's spiraling. She screamed at the boutique people and her mom, said you're just overreacting to stress, told everyone you're having a breakdown. Sure I am. I screenshotted the message, added it to the folder. By 3:30 p.m., the vendors were canceling themselves. The cake decorator emailed me asking if she should donate the final product to a shelter. The photographer, who had gotten the same family emergency story from me a week earlier, sent a single line, "Understood, wishing you peace." The venue refunded 60% of the deposit, said the remaining balance could be used for a future event under my name. I smiled at that. Maybe I'd throw a party one day, just me and a pizza. At 6 p.m., the calls had slowed. Texts kept coming though. Natalie switched from panic to rage. "How could you do this to me? Do you know how bad this makes me look? After everything I put into this wedding? You're just proving everyone right. You were never strong enough for real life. You should be grateful I was marrying you." That last one made me pause. Grateful. That word. I think that's the moment she truly lost me, if I hadn't already gone. By the weekend, it had made the rounds. Mutual friends were reaching out, some to check on me, others to play neutral. A few of the guys I knew from her social circle messaged me like they were jockeying for position. "Sorry it didn't work out, bro. If you ever want to grab a drink and talk, hit me up." Crazy story, man. Hope you're holding up. Just so you know, Natalie's spinning this hard, says you got cold feet. Let her spin. She can say what she wants. That I was scared, that I ghosted her, that I'm unstable. But the receipts exist, and Jenna had them too. Then Jenna did something I didn't expect. She sent a screen recording of a group chat, one Natalie forgot to remove her from. Natalie was melting down. He's gone. His closet is empty. He left the ring like I'm some kind of rebound joke. What am I supposed to tell people? My mom is losing it. She already paid for the extra catering I added. I should have just gone with Derek. At least he has a boat. There it was. Derek. The same guy from her texts. Apparently, he wasn't exactly rushing to replace me. Monday morning, I got a voicemail from Natalie's mom. I didn't listen to the whole thing, but the first 30 seconds were a mix of restrained fury and deep embarrassment. She wanted to discuss next steps and mitigate reputational damage. I archived it. The last message I got that week was from Jenna. She's done. Dress still in the closet. Cake went to a shelter. Her parents are talking about selling the house to pay off what's left. I asked if she needed anything. Jenna just said, "No, but thank you." Honestly, we were all waiting for someone to finally walk away from her. It's been 11 days. 11 days since I left my key on the pillow, closed the closet door behind me, and walked out of a relationship that, in hindsight, had been over for months. The calls finally stopped on day 6. The texts, they trickled out slower. Guilt bombs mostly. I just want to talk. You could have handled this like an adult. I'm still your fiancé. You owe me that. We had plans, Josh. Yeah, we did. And you planned to change them the second I didn't meet your ROI. My new apartment is small, quiet, and mine. I work from home most days now. Thankfully, my job's flexible like that. I told my boss everything in a general way, just needed time. He said, take it. Sounds like you dodged a bullet. He wasn't wrong. Natalie's social media has gone dark. The perfectly curated Road to the Altar Instagram posts deleted. Her highlight reel scrubbed. A few bridesmaids quietly unfollowed her. Others just muted. One, Tina, posted a photo with Jenna and captioned it, "Some people know when to walk away." No tags, but everyone knew. Jenna and I met for coffee last week. Nothing romantic, just a thank you. She showed me more texts, screenshots. One where Natalie said she was just using this wedding to level up. Another where she complained about my middle-class mindset, said I was too content for someone with ambition. I asked Jenna, why didn't she say something sooner? She looked genuinely sad. Because you loved her, and I didn't think you'd believe me. She wasn't wrong. Then came the twist I didn't see coming. Natalie's dad reached out. He left a voicemail, not angry, not even defensive, just tired. I don't know what my daughter said or did, and frankly, I don't want to. But I want you to know if half of what I'm hearing is true, you did the right thing. I'm sorry. I listened to it twice. That man once told me over beers, "Welcome to the family." I think we both misunderstood what that family actually was. The wedding bills are stacking up on Natalie's side now. Turns out, in her panic to impress everyone, she co-signed things she couldn't afford solo. And with no wedding, no groom, and no job promotion on the horizon, she's sitting in the aftermath of a party that never happened. Jenna says she tried to blame me for financial abandonment. But all the contracts were clear, and I kept the receipts. I haven't spoken to Natalie directly. There's nothing to say. If she really wanted closure, she would have started with honesty 6 months ago, not jokes about struggle and threats to delay the wedding like it was a TikTok trend. Sometimes silence is the closure. The last update I'll share is this. Yesterday, I got a message on Etsy. One of my clients, the side hustle I'd picked back up during all the chaos, left a note on a custom 3D print order. "Hi, I don't know if you remember me. I used to be in your coding class like 2 years ago. Your stuff looks amazing. Hope you're doing well." It was from someone I'd met once, briefly. She remembered me, not because of my job or my salary or how steady I was, but because we'd talked about nerd stuff and laughed about a bug in her project, and I stayed after class to help her figure it out. That's the kind of connection I want next time. Not someone who sees me as a safety net, but someone who sees me. I didn't get revenge, not the flashy kind, no viral takedown, no confrontation, no legal battle. I just walked away and let the consequences be hers to hold. And from the sound of it, they're getting heavy. The dress is still hanging in the closet. No refunds. I caught my girlfriend making out with her coworker outside the bar. When I walked over, she slapped me and screamed, "Stop harassing me," to the crowd. Security escorted me out while she played victim. I didn't argue. 5 days later, she was outside my apartment crying for forgiveness. Hey viewers, huge thanks to everyone who's already subscribed. We're getting super close to 10,000. If you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button and help us reach that milestone. I'm 31M and work in logistics. Been dating Tessa 28F for about 16 months. She has an office job downtown, makes decent money. We've been pretty serious. Talking about moving in together, meeting each other's extended families, the whole deal. Last Friday was supposed to be our regular date night. We usually hit this sports bar near her office after she gets off work. Nothing fancy, just drinks and dinner, catch up on the week. I get there around 6:30 p.m. like always. I park and walk toward the entrance when I see something that stops me cold. There's Tessa outside in the smoking area, pressed up against some guy in a suit, making out like teenagers. Full ton, hands all over each other, the works. I'm standing maybe 20 feet away just staring. This isn't some quick peck or friendly hug. This is full-blown cheating happening right in front of me. I walk over slowly, trying to process what I'm seeing. As I get closer, I recognize the guy. It's Brad from her office. She's mentioned him before, Always talks about how funny he is, how they work late together on projects. Makes sense now. I'm about 10 feet away when Tessa sees me. Instead of looking guilty or embarrassed, her face goes completely cold. Like she's annoyed I interrupted them. Tessa, what the hell is this? She pushes Brad away and takes a step toward me. What are you doing here? It's Friday night, our date night, remember? I told you I was working late tonight. No, you didn't. You texted me to meet you here at 6:30 like always. Brad's just standing there looking uncomfortable, probably wondering if he should run. Look, Jake, this isn't what it looks like. Really? Because it looks like you're cheating on me with your coworker. That's when she completely lost it. Her face twisted up with rage. You're being ridiculous. Brad and I are just friends. Friends who make out in parking lots? We weren't making out, we were talking. I saw you. Your tongues were in each other's mouths. You're seeing things. You're being paranoid and controlling. The gaslighting was unbelievable. I'm watching her lie to my face about something I literally just witnessed. Tessa, I'm not blind. I saw what I saw. That's when she snapped, drew her hand back and slapped me hard across the face. The crack echoed off the buildings. Stop harassing me. She screamed it loud enough for half the street to hear. People outside the bar turned to look. I told you to leave me alone. Now she's yelling like I'm some crazy stalker who won't take no for an answer. Get away from me. Someone help. A crowd starts gathering. The bouncer comes outside, sees a woman screaming at a man, and immediately assumes I'm the problem. What's going on here? This psycho won't leave me alone, Tessa says, pointing at me. I broke up with him and he's been following me around. The crowd is staring at me like I'm some kind of predator. Brad nods along like he's backing up her story. Sir, you need to leave, the bouncer says. This is my girlfriend. We had dinner plans. She was just making out with this guy. She says you two broke up and you're bothering her. That's not true. Check her phone. We've been texting all week about meeting here tonight. Sir, I'm not checking anyone's phone. The lady wants you to leave, so you need to go. Tessa's standing there with tears in her eyes, playing the victim perfectly. The crowd is eating it up. Please, she says to the bouncer. He's scaring me. I look around at all these people staring at me like I'm the bad guy. Like I'm the one who did something wrong. Fine, I say. I'm leaving. I turn and walk back to my car while the crowd watches. Don't argue. Don't make a scene. Just leave with whatever dignity I have left. Drive home in complete shock. My girlfriend of 16 months just cheated on me, slapped me, and then convinced a crowd of strangers that I was harassing her. The sheer level of manipulation is staggering. Get home and pour a whiskey. Try to make sense of what just happened. Check my phone and see our text thread from earlier. Her, 3 p.m. See you at O'Malley's at 6:30. Me, 3:15 p.m. Yep, see you there. Her, 4 p.m. Can't wait to see you, babe. So much for her story about working late and telling me not to come. I screenshot the conversation and pour another drink. Then I start thinking about my next move. See, the thing about Tessa is she's very concerned with her image. Works at a respectable company, has professional social media, goes to networking events, the whole career-focused persona. She's built this reputation as a serious, trustworthy professional. Would be a shame if that got damaged. I spend the weekend gathering materials, screenshots of our texts showing we had plans, photos of us together from the past few months with timestamps, social media posts where she talks about our relationship, calls me her boyfriend, posts couple selfies. By Sunday night, I have a complete timeline proving we were definitely together and definitely had plans that night. Monday morning, I create a detailed social media post with all the evidence attached. Friday night reality check. When someone cheats on you and then plays victim, the truth needs to come out. Here's what really happened at O'Malley's. I include the screenshots of our text conversation, photos of us together from recent weeks, and a detailed account of what I witnessed. No lies, no exaggeration, just facts with evidence. I post it publicly and share it in several local social media groups where her professional contacts would see it. Then I send the link to a few mutual friends who were at the bar that night, asking them to share their perspective on what they witnessed. My phone starts blowing up within an hour. Update 1, 5 days later. Well, the truth had consequences. Thanks for all the support in the comments. Glad most people agree that cheating and then playing victim deserves exposure. So my social media post created exactly the reaction I expected. Within hours, her carefully crafted professional image started crumbling. Monday afternoon, I get a call from my buddy Ryan, who knows people in her industry. Dude, your post is making rounds in the professional community. Everyone's talking about it. Good. Tessa's been calling in sick to work. People are saying she's embarrassed to show her face. Actions have consequences. Some of her co-workers are commenting on the post backing up your story. Apparently this Brad guy has a reputation for this kind of thing. Even better, her own colleagues were confirming the pattern. Tuesday brought the first attempt at damage control. Tessa's friend Amy called me. Jake, you need to take down that social media post. Why would I do that? You're ruining Tessa's reputation over a misunderstanding. Misunderstanding? I caught her cheating, and she slapped me while pretending I was a stalker. She was drunk and confused. She didn't mean to hurt you. She was sober enough to coordinate her story with Brad and convince a crowd I was harassing her. Jake, please. She's getting scrutinized at work. Her boss is asking questions about the public drama. Maybe she should have thought about that before creating public drama to cover her cheating. You're being vindictive. I'm being honest. Everything I posted is true with evidence to back it up. Amy tried guilting me for another 10 minutes, but I wasn't interested. Wednesday brought escalation. I get a message through social media from Brad. Jake, this is Brad from Friday night. We need to talk. Nothing to discuss. You're causing problems for both of us at work. This needs to stop. Should have thought about that before you made out with my girlfriend in public. Tessa told me you two were having problems and basically broken up. Tessa lied to you. Check the screenshots in my post. Look, man, I didn't know the real situation, but this post is affecting my reputation too. Good. Maybe don't hook up with other people's girlfriends. Can we meet and work this out? No. Enjoy the consequences. Thursday brought my favorite development. Several people who were at O'Malley's that night started commenting on my post with their own accounts of what they witnessed. I was there, saw the whole thing. This guy is telling the truth. Witnessed the slap and the fake screaming. She was 100% putting on an act. Brad and the girl were definitely making out. No question about it. The eyewitness accounts completely destroyed any credibility Tessa might have had left. Friday was when she finally cracked. Around 6 p.m., I'm making dinner when someone starts pounding on my apartment door. I look through the peephole and see Tessa standing there crying, looking like she hasn't slept in days. Jake, please open the door. I need to talk to you. I don't answer. I know you're in there. Please, just 5 minutes. More pounding. Jake, I'm sorry. I made a terrible mistake. Please let me explain. I turn up the TV and ignore her. She keeps pounding for about 20 minutes before giving up. An hour later, she's back. This time she's sobbing loudly enough for the neighbors to hear. Jake, I'm begging you. I'm on administrative leave at work. They're investigating the situation because of your post. Now we're getting somewhere. My reputation is destroyed. Everyone in my industry has seen what happened. Because you earned that reputation. Please, I'll do anything to fix this. I love you. I order pizza and let her cry in the hallway. She finally leaves around 10 p.m., but I have a feeling this isn't over. Final update. Time to close this chapter. It's been 2 weeks since I exposed Tessa's cheating and victim act, and the consequences have been everything I hoped for. After the Friday night breakdown at my door, Tessa tried a few more desperate moves. Saturday, she left flowers at my building's front desk with a card. I'm sorry, I made the biggest mistake of my life. Please give me one chance to explain. Threw them in the dumpster without reading the rest. Sunday, she had her sister Kelly call me. We'd always gotten along, so I listened. Jake, Tessa is devastated. She knows she messed up, but the public humiliation seems harsh. Kelly, she didn't just cheat. She slapped me and convinced a crowd of people I was a stalker. That's not a simple mistake. She was panicked and made bad choices. She was calculated and manipulative. There's a difference. Her career might be over. Everyone's seen your post. Maybe she should have thought about that before she decided to cheat publicly and then lie about it. Jake, I love my sister, but what she did to you was horrible. You didn't deserve any of it. Thanks, Kelly. I appreciate that. But she's family, and seeing her like this is hard. She's learned her lesson. Has she? Because she still hasn't actually apologized for what she did. She's only sorry she got caught. Monday brought the most satisfying update. Ryan called with news from their workplace. Dude, Brad's been moved to a different team at his company. Apparently HR had to get involved because of all the attention. What about Tessa? She's still on leave while they figure out what to do. The company doesn't want to be associated with the drama, but they can't exactly fire her for her personal life. So she's in limbo. Pretty much, and word is getting around that this wasn't their first time hooking up. People are saying it's been going on for months. Months. We'd been talking about moving in together while she'd been carrying on with Brad. Wednesday, I run into Tessa's friend Sarah at the coffee shop. She was one of the people at O'Malley's that night who'd commented on my post. Jake, I wanted to apologize for not speaking up sooner. You spoke up when it mattered. I should have said something that night. I saw what really happened and I let her get away with that victim act. Why didn't you? Because she's my friend and I was shocked. But watching her lie about it all week, I couldn't stay quiet. What's she saying now? She's telling people you're obsessed with revenge and won't let it go, but everyone who was there knows the truth. Good. Jake, for what it's worth, you handled this better than most people would have. A lot of guys would have made a scene that night. Sometimes the truth is more powerful than drama. Friday brought Tessa's final attempt. She somehow convinced the building manager to let her wait in the lobby, claiming she needed to return my belongings. When I got home from work, there she was. Jake, please, just hear me out. You need to leave. I've lost everything, my job, my friends, my reputation, all because of one stupid mistake. You lost everything because you cheated for months, lied about it, then tried to destroy my reputation when you got caught. I know I screwed up, but this has gone too far. She looked terrible, hair unwashed, clothes wrinkled, dark circles under her eyes. The punishment doesn't fit the crime. The consequences fit the actions. You made your choices, now you live with them. Jake, I love you. More than I ever loved anyone. I made terrible choices, but my feelings for you are real. Your feelings are guilt and desperation, not love. That's not true. Tessa, if you loved me, you wouldn't have been hooking up with Brad for months. If you loved me, you wouldn't have slapped me and tried to destroy my reputation to cover your tracks. I was scared. I panicked. You were calculated. You turned a crowd against me to protect yourself. That's not panic. That's strategy. She started crying again, but I was done caring about her tears. Please, I'll do anything. Therapy, couples counseling, whatever it takes. There's nothing to take. We're done. You made sure of that when you chose deception and manipulation over honesty. Where am I supposed to go? My life is destroyed. Build a new one based on honesty this time. Maybe you'll have better luck. I walked to the elevator, and she followed. If you don't leave this building, I'm calling the police. Jake, please, leave. Now. She finally got the message and left. That was a week ago. Haven't heard from her since. Her social media went completely dark. Probably because every post was getting comments about the cheating scandal. The revenge wasn't elaborate, just strategic. She tried to destroy my reputation to cover her cheating, so I used the truth to expose what really happened. She wanted to play victim, so I gave everyone the evidence to see through her act. Brad learned that workplace affairs have professional consequences when they become public scandals. Tessa learned that manipulating people eventually backfires when the truth comes out with evidence. Meanwhile, I'm doing great. The apartment is peaceful, work is good, and I've been talking to this woman Emma, who actually values honesty and loyalty. Sometimes the best revenge is just telling the truth and letting people face the natural consequences of their actions. Tessa wanted to have her cake and eat it too. Instead, she lost everything, and I got the satisfaction of watching her carefully constructed image crumble under the weight of her own lies. The truth always comes out eventually. She should have remembered that before she started living a lie. At our anniversary dinner, my wife raised her glass and said loud enough for the whole table, "Here's to 7 years down the drain with a pathetic man." Everyone laughed, except me. Later, when I confronted her, she rolled her eyes and said it was just a joke. Don't be so sensitive. I didn't argue, just left. 3 weeks later, she was crying, screaming, and leaving voicemails at 2 a.m. You know those moments that completely change the course of your life? Mine happened at a high-end steakhouse, surrounded by friends and family, with a glass of champagne in my hand. 7 years of marriage. 7 years of building a life together. 7 years that suddenly felt meaningless with 4 simple sentences. I'll try to keep this straightforward, but my blood still boils thinking about it. I'm 39, my wife Natalie is 37. We met through mutual friends, had what I thought was a solid marriage. No kids, thankfully. Both successful in our careers. Me in commercial real estate development, her in corporate law. Combined income well into the 6 figures. Nice house in the suburbs. The American dream, right? For our 7th anniversary, I planned something special. Reserved a private room at an upscale steakhouse, invited our closest friends and family, about 15 people total. Spent weeks arranging it, making sure everything would be perfect. Dropped nearly $3,000 on the event. Even hired a photographer to capture the evening. I paid extra for video capabilities too, wanting to capture toasts and special moments as a surprise anniversary gift for Natalie. The dinner was going well. Great food, conversation flowing, everyone enjoying themselves. Then came time for toasts. Several friends shared nice memories of us as a couple. My parents said some touching words about welcoming Natalie into the family. Then Natalie stood up, glass raised. I expected something thoughtful, maybe a little roast at my expense. That was her style, a sharp wit. What I got instead destroyed everything. I'd like to make a toast, she said, smiling brightly. Here's to 7 years down the drain with a pathetic man. The room went quiet for about 2 seconds. Then people started laughing, including her parents. Everyone except me and my parents. They thought she was joking. Natalie's just being Natalie, always pushing the envelope with her humor. But I could see it in her eyes. The contempt. This wasn't a joke. This was her truth, finally spoken out loud after who knows how long of thinking it silently. I didn't make a scene. Didn't storm out. Just sat there, feeling like I'd been punched in the gut, forcing a tight smile while everyone around me laughed at my public humiliation. The rest of the dinner was a blur. I remember the photographer looking uncomfortable, not sure if he should keep taking pictures. I remember my mother squeezing my arm, a gesture of support. I remember Natalie, glowing with attention, accepting compliments on her hilarious toast. When we got home that night, I finally confronted her. What the hell was that toast about? I asked, trying to keep my voice level. She rolled her eyes. It was just a joke. Don't be so sensitive. Calling me pathetic in front of our friends and family is a joke? God, you're being dramatic, she said, already turning away from me. Everyone thought it was funny. This is why I can't talk to you about anything. You take everything so personally. In that moment, something snapped inside me. Not in a rage way, but like a steel cable finally breaking after too much tension. I saw with perfect clarity that this woman didn't respect me. Probably hadn't for a long time. You're right, I said calmly. I'm being too sensitive. She seemed surprised by my sudden agreement, but shrugged it off and went upstairs to get ready for bed. I spent the night in the guest room. Not because she banished me there, but because I couldn't stand to be next to her. While she slept soundly, I made plans. The next morning I got up early, went to the office, and called the 3 people I needed most. My lawyer, my accountant, and my banker. See, what Natalie didn't know, or had forgotten, is that while she was the attorney in the family, I was the one who handled our finances. I knew every account, every investment, every credit card, and more importantly, I knew which ones were only in my name. Over the next week, I moved methodically. First, I transferred my personal savings, money I'd inherited from my grandfather 5 years ago that had never been commingled with our marital assets, to a new account at a different bank, a tidy sum of $320,000. Next, I contacted our property management company about the rental house I'd purchased before our marriage. I'd kept it as a separate asset, though I'd allowed the rental income to flow into our joint account as a gesture of marital unity. That gesture was now revoked. Then I reached out to 3 of our friends who had been at the dinner and laughed the hardest at Natalie's toast. They also happened to be clients of my real estate firm, I professionally informed them that I would be transferring their accounts to my colleague, as I could no longer personally service them. When they asked why, I was honest. I don't work with people who disrespect me. Throughout all this, I maintained a completely normal demeanor at home. I made dinner on my nights to cook, I handled my regular chores. I even slept in our bed again after that first night. Natalie seemed to think the toast incident was behind us, having never actually apologized for it. On day 9 of my plan, I took half the money from our joint checking account, exactly half, not a penny more, and opened a new personal account. I made sure all my direct deposits would go there going forward. On day 12, I contacted our credit card companies and removed myself as an authorized user on her primary card and removed her from mine. On day 14, I quietly secured a furnished apartment downtown, paid the first 3 months' rent in advance. On day 15, I scheduled a session with a therapist, not because I was having doubts, but because I wanted to make sure I was processing my emotions in a healthy way. The therapist listened to my story and said something that stuck with me. What you permit, you promote. I had permitted Natalie's disrespect for too long. Not anymore. 3 weeks after the anniversary dinner, I finally made my move. It was a Tuesday morning. Natalie had an important court appearance, so she was up early in full power suit mode. I was supposedly heading to a development site meeting. As she was about to walk out the door, I handed her an envelope. "What's this?" she asked, already distracted, checking her watch. "Divorce papers." Her head snapped up. "What?" "I filed for divorce. My attorney will be in touch with yours." She stared at me, completely blindsided. "Is this some kind of joke?" "No, Natalie. Unlike calling your husband pathetic in front of everyone we know, this isn't a joke. You can't be serious. Over one little toast? That's insane." It wasn't the toast. It was the disrespect. It was the contempt. It was the fact that you meant every word. She switched tactics instantly, tears forming. "I didn't mean it. I was just trying to be funny. You know how I am with pushing boundaries." "Yes, I do know, and I'm done permitting it." As the reality set in, she began to panic. "You can't just end our marriage like this. We need to talk about this." "We're well past talking. I've already moved out. I'll arrange to get the rest of my things later this week." I walked past her, got in my car, and drove to my new apartment. Behind me, I could see her in the driveway, still holding the envelope, looking shell-shocked. The next few days brought an onslaught of communication. Texts, calls, emails, first angry, then pleading. I responded only through my attorney. This is completely unreasonable. Call me now. Please, we need to talk about this. I'm sorry if I hurt you. I canceled my court appearance. I'm at home. Please come back so we can fix this. At least tell me where you're staying. Friends started reaching out too. Most of them took her side at first, telling me I was overreacting to just a joke. I sent them all the same response, a link to the video clip of Natalie's toast that the photographer had captured, with a simple question: would you stay married to someone who said this about you? Interestingly, once they actually watched the clip, saw her face, heard her tone, many of them changed their tune. "I didn't realize it came across like that," was a common response. A week after I'd moved out, Natalie discovered I'd transferred my inheritance and redirected the rental income. That's when the real meltdown began. It started with legal threats. She left a voicemail. "I just spoke with a colleague in family law. You can't hide assets like this. I'll take you for everything. You know that, right?" My lawyer called her the next day to explain that the money was legally separate property and the rental house was a premarital asset. She'd have no claim to either in our state. Then came the financial reality. Without my income, the mortgage on our house was a stretch for her, even with her good salary. We bought at the upper end of our combined budget, a decision I'd cautioned against, but ultimately agreed to. 2 weeks after I'd moved out, at about 2 a.m., the voicemail started. She was crying, her voice slurred. "Please come home. I miss you. I didn't mean what I said. Everything's falling apart without you. I can't afford the house on my own. I was just lashing out because I've been unhappy, but it's not your fault. We can fix this in counseling. Please call me back. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry." The final one left at 3:17 a.m. "You know what? Fine. You win. I'm a bitch. I said something terrible. Is that what you want to hear? But you're a coward for running away instead of fighting for us. I didn't respond to any of them. The following day, Thursday morning, I received an unexpected visitor at my office. Natalie's father, Robert. He'd always been kind to me, though he clearly thought his daughter had married slightly beneath her station. "Got a minute to talk?" he asked, standing awkwardly in my doorway. I gestured to the chair across from my desk. "Natalie's mother and I are concerned," he began. "This separation seems abrupt." "Did Natalie show you the video of her toast?" I asked. He shifted uncomfortably. "Yes, we've seen it. It was inappropriate, certainly, but it was revealing," I interrupted. "It showed me exactly what she thinks of me, what she's probably thought for years," he sighed. "Look, my daughter can be sharp-tongued. She gets that from her mother, but she loves you." With all due respect, Robert, people who love each other don't publicly humiliate each other. They don't call each other pathetic and then dismiss the hurt they've caused. "She's struggling," he said quietly. "She might lose the house. That's unfortunate, but it's not my problem anymore. She's an attorney making 6 figures. She'll be fine." After he left, I felt a strange sense of peace. I'd stood my ground, something I should have done long before now. 3 weeks after I moved out, things took another turn. I received a text from an unknown number. "You need to check on Natalie. She's not doing well." It was from her best friend, Claire. I deleted her contact info but recognized the area code. I didn't respond, but I did reach out to Natalie's sister to make sure she wasn't in any actual danger. Her sister assured me Natalie was physically fine, just a mess. She'd apparently taken a leave of absence from work and was spending most days in bed. That evening, around 10 p.m., my doorbell rang. I checked the security camera on my phone. It was Natalie, swaying slightly, clearly intoxicated. I didn't answer. She kept ringing, then started pounding on the door. "I know you're in there," she yelled. "You don't get to just throw away 7 years." Security escorted her out of the building. Later, I learned from a mutual friend that she'd followed me from my office that day. I immediately filed for a temporary restraining order and changed my routines. The divorce proceedings continued. Natalie eventually hired an aggressive attorney who tried to claim emotional abuse on my part. When the video of the toast was entered as evidence, along with statements from friends who had observed her behavior over the years, the judge reviewed everything carefully. The video was particularly damning. Not just her words, but her tone and facial expressions clearly showed contempt, not playful joking. My attorney also presented a documented pattern of her dismissive behavior from multiple witness statements, text messages where she belittled my concerns, and her own emails where she described me to friends in unflattering terms. The emotional abuse claims were dismissed, with the judge noting that evidence strongly indicates a pattern of disrespect flowing in the opposite direction. In the end, we settled. She kept the house but had to refinance to remove me from the mortgage. I kept my inheritance and rental property. We split the joint accounts and retirement funds proportionally based on contributions. It was all very clean, very clinical. On the day our divorce was finalized, I received one last message from Natalie. "I hope someday you'll forgive me enough to at least talk. What we had wasn't all bad." She was right about that. It wasn't all bad, but it wasn't good enough to endure being called pathetic by the one person who should have been in my corner no matter what. It's been a year now. I've sold my real estate firm for a substantial profit and relocated to another state. Dating again, cautiously. I've learned to trust my instincts more, to recognize red flags, and most importantly, to enforce boundaries. As for Natalie, I heard through mutual friends that she had to sell the house. Even with the refinancing, it was too much for her budget. She's moved to a condo closer to her parents. Apparently, she's been telling people that she made one little joke, and I completely overreacted by ending the marriage. Some people never learn. But I did. Edit. Wow, so many upvotes. Thanks for all the supportive comments. To address some common questions. Yes, I have the video of the toast, but no, I won't be sharing it online. Despite everything, I don't want to publicly humiliate her the way she did me. That's not who I am. Several people have asked if there were signs I missed. Looking back, yes. Small comments made in front of friends that were just on the edge of disrespectful. dismissing my concerns about various things, but nothing that prepared me for the anniversary toast. For those saying I moved too quickly? Maybe. But that toast wasn't an isolated incident. It was the culmination of a pattern of disrespect that I'd normalized over time. The toast just finally made me see it clearly. And to the person who DM'd me asking if my inheritance was really separate property, yes, it absolutely was. I never commingled it with our joint assets, and I have meticulous records showing this. The law in my state is very clear on this point. Finally, to those suggesting I should have defended myself at the dinner, would that really have made things better? Creating a scene at our anniversary dinner in front of all our friends and family? I chose to handle it privately, and then decisively, rather than engaging in public drama. About the photographer. Yes, I had specifically requested video coverage of the toasts. Ironically, I had planned to compile these as an anniversary gift. Instead, it became evidence in our divorce case. Update: 2 months after original post. Life continues to improve. The new business venture I hinted at is taking off. Turns out my experience in real estate development transferred well to commercial property tech. I've also been seeing someone for about 3 months now. It's going well, though we're taking things slowly. The contrast between her and Natalie is stark. Julia treats me with consistent respect, even when we disagree. Last week I received a letter from Natalie, handwritten, sent to my business address. She wrote that she's been in therapy, working on her communication issues, her words. She apologized again, said she didn't realize how hurtful her teasing had been throughout our marriage. I appreciate that she's working on herself, but I have no interest in reopening that chapter of my life. Some bridges once burned should stay that way. I found out my girlfriend had 4 other boyfriends. I contacted them all. For her birthday, we threw her a surprise party. She walked in to see all 5 of us standing there together. I handed her a cake that said, "Happy birthday to our girlfriend." My girlfriend Jessica is a miracle of modern logistics. For the last year, I thought I was in a normal, committed relationship with a vibrant, if slightly chaotic, woman. I had no idea I was actually just one part of a complex, multi-layered romantic enterprise. Jessica wasn't just my girlfriend. She was the CEO of a startup with 5 active clients, and we were all her boyfriend. I discovered this last Tuesday by complete accident. Jessica is pathologically careless with her phone. She left it in my car when I dropped her off at her yoga class. I found it on the passenger seat an hour later, and being the good boyfriend, I decided to drive it back to her so she wouldn't be without it. As I was pulling up to her yoga studio, the phone screen lit up. A notification from a guy named Derek, work, with a heart emoji next to his name. The message read, "Thinking about you. Last night was amazing." My heart stopped. Last night, she had been with me. We had watched a movie and fallen asleep on the sofa. Then another notification popped up. A guy named Steve, Jim. The message, "Can't wait for our hike this weekend, beautiful." We were supposed to be going to my parents' house this weekend. It was like a switch flipped in my head. The confusion and hurt were there, but they were immediately overtaken by a cold, morbid curiosity. My hands shaking, I opened her phone. She had used her fingerprint to unlock it in my car earlier, so it was still open. I didn't go digging deep. I didn't have to. The main screen of her messaging app was a switchboard of deception. There was Derek, her work husband, who she was clearly sleeping with. There was Steve, her personal trainer, who was more than just a trainer. There was a long-distance guy named Paul, an old flame from college, to whom she was promising to visit soon on a girls' trip. And then there was me, Ben, the stable, reliable, live-in boyfriend, the anchor of the entire operation. I felt a wave of nausea followed by a surge of pure, unadulterated rage. But then a third feeling emerged, something far more dangerous, a sense of profound, analytical focus. She wasn't just a cheater. She was a master scheduler, a brilliant con artist. A betrayal this complex, this audacious, didn't deserve a simple, screaming confrontation. It deserved a response of equal complexity and creativity. I drove home, her phone still in my hand. I spent the next 5 hours in a state of hyper-focused investigation. I went through her messages, her calendar, her social media. I was no longer her boyfriend. I was an auditor, examining the books of a fraudulent corporation. It was worse than I thought. There wasn't just 4 other boyfriends, there were 5. The 5th was a wealthy, older, divorced man named Marcus, who she had listed in her phone as mentor. He was the one funding the designer bags and expensive spa days she claimed she was paying for with her freelance graphic design work. Each of us served a purpose. I was the stable home base. Derek was the daily thrill at the office. Steve was the fitness-obsessed hobby partner. Paul was the romantic, long-distance fantasy. And Marcus was the bank. She had built a perfect ecosystem of men, each one fulfilling a different need, all of them completely unaware of the other's existence. By the end of the night, I had a complete dossier. I had their full names, their photos, their phone numbers, and a collection of screenshots of her messages to each of them, detailing her lies and her schedule. My plan began to form. A private confrontation would be pointless. She was a professional liar. She would just create a new lie. No, the only way to properly address a deception of this magnitude was to bring all the deceived parties together. The only way to show her the truth of what she had done was to have all 5 of her boyfriends in the same room at the same time. Her birthday was in 3 weeks. She was already dropping hints about wanting a big surprise party. She had no idea what kind of surprise I was about to start planning. I took a deep breath, picked up my phone, and sent the first text message to a man I had never met. Hi Derek. My name is Ben. We don't know each other, but we have a girlfriend in common. Her name is Jessica. I have some information I think you'll want to see. We need to talk. I sent the same message customized with the right name to Steve, Paul, and Marcus. The game was on. Update 1. Assembling what I came to call the Jessica Avengers was a delicate and surreal process. The initial reactions to my text message ranged from angry disbelief to cautious curiosity. Derek, the work husband, was the most aggressive. He called me immediately, accusing me of being a crazy, jealous ex trying to stir up trouble. I don't know who you are, man, he said, but you need to back off. Jessica and I are just friends. Are you? I asked calmly. Because according to this text she sent you last Monday, she was telling you how much she missed you while she was lying in bed next to me. I'm happy to forward you the screenshot. Or perhaps you'd prefer the one where she's telling me she has to work late on a project with you, while simultaneously texting you plans for a romantic dinner? There was a stunned silence. I had his attention. Steve, the gym guy, was just confused. Paul, the long-distance fantasy, was heartbroken. But the most interesting reaction came from Marcus, the older, wealthy benefactor. He wasn't angry. He was intrigued. He was a retired businessman, a man who had seen it all, and he seemed almost impressed by the audacity of her scheme. I arranged to meet with each of them individually over the next week. I met them in quiet bars and coffee shops. I was not emotional. I was a presenter, laying out my findings with the cold, hard data of screenshots and calendar entries. I showed each of them the lies she had told them, and the lies she had told about them. I showed Derek the messages where she called him her fun, disposable distraction. I showed Steve the texts where she mocked his obsession with fitness. I showed Marcus the evidence that she was using the money he gave her to fund her trips to see her long-distance boyfriend, Paul. With each man, the reaction was the same. A slow, dawning horror, followed by a cold, quiet rage. I had presented them with undeniable proof that they were not a special partner in a secret affair. They were just a cog in a machine. By the end of the week, I had them all on board. We created a private, secure group chat. The 5 of us, a motley crew of betrayed men, began to plan. The initial ideas were a mix of petty revenge and grand gestures, but we all agreed that the punishment had to fit the crime. Her crime was deception, compartmentalization, and making us all feel like we were the only one. The only logical revenge then was to shatter that illusion in the most public and undeniable way possible. The surprise birthday party was the perfect venue. I, as the live-in boyfriend, took the lead on planning. I told Jessica that I was going to throw her a massive surprise party at our apartment. I told her I wanted to make her birthday the most special day of her life. She was ecstatic. She loved the idea of me, her stable, boring boyfriend, fawning over her and organizing a huge event in her honor. We set the date and time. I told her she needed to be out of the apartment for the entire afternoon so I could decorate and get everything ready. I told her to dress up, that it was going to be a fancy affair. She bought a new, expensive dress for the occasion, probably with Marcus's money. The five of us coordinated the logistics. Derek was in charge of getting a banner made. Steve, the gym guy, handled the drinks. Paul, the long-distance boyfriend, agreed to drive into town for the event. And Marcus, with a wry smile, said he would take care of the cake. The plan was simple. There would be no other guests, no friends, no family. The only attendees at Jessica's surprise party would be her 5 boyfriends. We would all gather at my apartment an hour before she was due to arrive. We would set the scene. And then we would wait. She thought she was walking into a party celebrating her. She had no idea she was walking into a final, public shareholder meeting for the failed corporation of her love life, and her employment was about to be terminated. Update 2. The day of the party was one of the most surreal of my life. The 4 other men arrived at my apartment at 6 o'clock sharp. It was the first time we had all been in the same room together. The atmosphere was a strange mix of tension, camaraderie, and a shared, grim sense of purpose. We were 5 strangers from completely different walks of life, united by the lies of one woman. Derek, the work husband, unrolled the banner. It was a masterpiece of passive aggression. It just said, in big, cheerful letters, "Happy birthday." No name, just a general, impersonal declaration. We hung it over the living room window. Steve, the gym guy, stocked the fridge with an impressive amount of beer and champagne. "Might as well have a real party after the guest of honor leaves," he said with a wry grin. Paul, the long-distance boyfriend, had a haunted look in his eyes. The betrayal seemed to have hit him the hardest. He just quietly helped arrange the furniture. And then Marcus, the benefactor, arrived. He was carrying a large, square cake box from the most expensive bakery in the city. He placed it on the kitchen counter with the reverence of a man handling a sacred object. "The inscription is exactly as we discussed," he said, a glint in his eye. We spent the next hour making small talk. A group of men who should have been rivals, now allies in a common cause. We compared stories, laughed at the audacity of her lies, and discovered the intricate web of scheduling she had used to keep us all apart. It was like a support group for the victims of a charismatic cult leader. At 7:45, I received a text from Jessica. "Just left the spa, so excited for my surprise. Be there in 15 minutes, love you, so." I showed the text to the others. A quiet, determined silence fell over the room. It was time. We took our positions. We arranged ourselves in a casual semicircle in the middle of the living room, facing the front door. We just stood there, 5 men, waiting. At exactly 8 o'clock, we heard her key in the lock. The door swung open. Jessica stepped inside, a brilliant, beaming smile on her face, ready to be showered with affection. "Surprise!" she called out into the apartment. Her smile faltered the moment she saw us. It didn't vanish immediately. It just froze, her brain struggling to process the scene in front of her. She saw me. Then she saw Derek next to me. Her eyes widened. She saw Steve on my other side. Her face went pale. She saw Paul by the window and Marcus leaning against the kitchen counter. The color drained from her face. Her designer handbag slipped from her fingers and fell to the floor with a soft thud. She looked like she had walked into a room and found all of her secret lives having a meeting without her. What is this?" she stammered, her voice a hoarse whisper. "What are you all doing here?" No one said a word. We just stood there, a silent jury. I stepped forward. I was holding the cake. With a calm, steady hand, I lifted the lid off the box and turned it so she could read the beautiful, swirling blue icing. It said, "Happy birthday to our girlfriend." The silence was broken by a small, choked gasp from Jessica. She stared at the cake, then at our faces, her expression crumbling from confusion into pure, unadulterated horror. She tried to lie. It was a desperate, pathetic final gambit. "I don't understand," she cried, tears welling in her eyes. "Ben, who are all these men? Why are they in our apartment?" Derek was the first to speak. "Don't, Jessica," he said, his voice cold. "Just don't. We know everything. I'm the work husband. I'm the personal trainer," Steve added, his arms crossed. "I'm the old college friend," Paul said, his voice full of a quiet sadness. "And I," Marcus concluded, pushing himself off the counter, "am the mentor and the chief financial backer of this entire sordid little enterprise, apparently." She looked at me, her last hope. "Ben, please," she whispered. "Tell me this is a joke." The only joke here, Jessica, I said, my voice flat, was me, was all of us, but it's not funny anymore. I placed the cake on the coffee table. The party's over, I said. Happy birthday. Final update, the scene in the apartment after the cake reveal was a complete and total meltdown. Jessica's brain seemed to short-circuit. Faced with the impossible reality of all her separate lives colliding in one room, she didn't have a coherent strategy. She just cycled through every manipulative tactic in her arsenal. First, she tried denial, insisting we were all crazy, that we were all part of some elaborate prank I was playing. When that didn't work, she tried to isolate and conquer, turning to each of us individually. She tried to tell Derek that the others meant nothing. She tried to tell Paul that he was the only one she ever really loved. It was a pathetic performance, and none of us were buying it. We just stood there, a silent, unmovable wall of truth. Finally, she turned to rage. She screamed at me, calling me a monster for orchestrating her humiliation. She called the others fools for believing me. It was a wild, desperate tirade from a cornered animal. When she finally ran out of steam, I spoke. "It's over, Jessica," I said calmly. "This is my apartment. The lease is in my name. I want you out. You can pack a bag with your essentials tonight. You have 1 week to get the rest of your things." Then, one by one, the other men delivered their own verdicts. "We're done," Derek said. "Don't ever contact me again," Steve added. Paul just shook his head and walked out the door without a word. Marcus, the businessman, was the most cutting. "Consider my mentorship and all associated financial benefits permanently concluded," he said. "I suggest you find a new investor." Within the space of 15 minutes, she had been dumped simultaneously by 5 different men. She left that night with a single suitcase, her face a tear-streaked ruin. The 5 of us, the newly formed Brotherhood of the Betrayed, actually stayed for a while. We opened the champagne, we cut the cake. It was delicious, and we had our own very strange, very cathartic party. We toasted to our shared freedom. The aftermath was exactly as you would expect. Jessica's life imploded. She had lost her home, her primary source of stability, her work distraction, her hobby partner, her romantic fantasy, and her bank, all in one night. The story of her 5-boyfriend surprise party became a legend in our respective social circles. She was a pariah. She tried a few desperate moves. She sent me a series of threatening emails, demanding I pay her for her emotional investment in our relationship. I had my lawyer send her a cease and desist letter that shut that down immediately. She tried to spin a victim narrative online, but the story was too well known. Everyone knew the truth. The last I heard, she had to move back to her hometown to live with her parents, completely disgraced. The grand, exciting life she had built for herself was revealed to be a fragile house of cards, and we had just gently blown it over. A month after the party, the 5 of us met up for a beer. It was a bizarre but hilarious evening. We were 5 completely different guys, but we had a bond that no one else could understand. Marcus, who had done some digging, informed us that Jessica had a long history of this kind of behavior. We weren't the first, but thanks to our little party, we were almost certainly the last. As for me, my life is peaceful. The apartment is quiet. I didn't seek revenge out of rage. I did it as a matter of principle. She treated people like disposable assets, like items on a checklist. I simply organized a meeting of all the assets to compare notes. She wasn't a girlfriend, she was a Ponzi scheme, and all I did was call a meeting of the investors to inform them that the fund was bankrupt.